और जितने लोग हैं वो अमृता को मैसेज करेंगे ग्रुप का, और फाइनल ग्रुप 4 ग्रुप कितना बना वो फाइनल ग्रुप मेरे पास आना चाहिए, ठीक है। चलिए लेट्स स्टार्ट नाउ। क्या डिस्कशन हुआ अब तक? ट्रेविस के बारे में डिस्कशन हो रहा था, राइट? थोड़ा ब्रीफ कर दूं। ट्रेविस का क्या कंडीशन है? उसके फादर ओवरडोज रहते हैं हमेशा, ठीक है। मदर जेल में, फाइन। वो बहुत ही ज्यादा अपने इमोशंस वगैरह को हैंडल नहीं कर पा रहा है, ये चीज हम लोगों ने देखा। कैसे वो कितने कौन से एज में हाई स्कूल ड्रॉप आउट हो गया? 16. When Travis was 16, he dropped out high school, and after that he joined job. In job also, because of insubordination, he was being fired, right? And after that, we saw that how he joined Starbucks and how Starbucks was the best thing which had happened in his life. Till here we saw. Is it?
Yes, ma'am.
यहाँ तक किए थे हम लोग?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, present status of Travis, we did discuss or not? Present status of Travis, that presently he is owner of, with more than this much current employee he have, this much employees, these many employees are working under Travis, and more than 1 billion alumni. Starbucks is not Starbucks, it is talking about. Wait, where's Travis discussion? Okay, here it is. Today at 25, Travis is the manager of 2 Starbucks, where he oversees 40 employees. So under him, 40 employees are working, and he is responsible for revenues exceeding $2 million per year. And his salary is $44,000, and he don't have any debt. And he is never late in his work. So this is his present status. And this is his statement. Starbucks is the most important thing that has ever happened to me. He told me, and I owe everything to this company. Right? This was last we discussed. And from here we will be starting. Priya, you can start from here.
For Travis and thousands of other Starbucks, like a handful of other companies, has succeeded in teaching the kind of life skills that school, families, and communities have failed to provide. With more than 137,000 current employees and more than 1 million alumni, Starbucks is now a sense one of the nation's largest educators. All of those employees in their first year alone.
Pause. Till here, we know that it is just a coffee cafe. And here in this chapter, it has been discussed that it is in nation's largest educator. Right? How nation's largest educator? Because when employees join in Starbucks, they first educate them. They train them how to handle their or how to handle their emotions, how to deal with angry customer. Right? So these are being taught. That's why Starbucks is nation's largest educator, and all of those employees in the first year alone spend at least 50 hours in Starbucks classroom. Okay, at least 50 hours of training is necessary over here. And doesn't more at home with the Starbucks workbook and talking to Starbucks mentor assigned to them. Right, so that's why it is nation's largest educator. Proceed.
At the core of the education is an intense focus on an all-important habit, willpower. Dozens of studies show that willpower is the single most important keystone habit for individual success. In a 2005 study, for instance, researcher
Not able to see. Here it is, researcher from the
Researcher from the University of Pennsylvania analyzed 164 8th grade students, measuring their IQs and other factors, including how much willpower the students demonstrated, as measured by test of their self-discipline. A student who exerted high level of willpower were more likely to earn higher grades in in their classes and gain admission into more selective schools. They had a fewer absence and spent less time watching television and more hours on homework. Highly self-disciplined adolescents outperformed their more impulsive peers on every academic performance variable. The researcher wrote self-discipline predicted academic performance more robustly than did IQ. Discipline predicted academic performance more robustly than did IQ. Self-discipline also predicted which student would improve their grades over the course of the school year, whereas IQ did not. Self-discipline has a bigger effect on academic performance than does intellectual talent. And the best way to strengthen willpower and give students a leg up studies indicate is to make it on into a habit. Sometimes sometimes it looks like people with a great self-control aren't working hard, but that's because they have made it automatic. Angela Duckworth, one of the University of Pennsylvania researchers, told me their their willpower occurs without them having to think about it. For Starbucks, willpower is more than an academic curiosity. When the company began plotting its massive growth strategy in the late 1990s, executives recognized that success required cultivating an environment that justifies paying $4 for a fancy cup of coffee. The company needed to train its employee to deliver a bit of joy alongside letters and scones. So early on, Starbucks started researching how they could teach employees to regulate their emotion and marshal their self-discipline to deliver a burst of pep with every serving. Unless baristas are trained to put aside their personal problem, the emotion of some employee will inevitably spill into how they treat customers. However, if a worker knows how to remain focused and disciplined, even at the end of an 8-4 shift, they will deliver the higher class of fast food service that Starbucks customers expect.
So have you understood till here?
Yes, ma'am.
What Starbucks is talking about, that they customers have to pay $4 for a fancy cup of coffee. So Starbucks is basically known for its customer handling service, right? So here Starbucks used to train the employees that how they will keep a smile on their face and how they will present even after 8 hours of shift. See over here. And how if a worker knows how to remain focused and disciplined, right? So proceed.
The company spent millions of dollars developing curriculums to train employees on a self-discipline. Executives wrote workbooks that in effect serve as a guides to how to make willpower a habit in a worker's lives. Those curriculum are in a part why Starbucks has grown from a sleepy Seattle company into a behemoth with more than 17,000 stores and revenues of more than 10, $10 billion a year. So
So
how does Starbucks?
from here, this is point to be noted. So how does Starbucks do that? Here you need to remain much more focused. Yes. Someone else read? Surabhi, read out.
How does Starbucks do it? How do they take people like Travis, the son of drug addicts and a high school dropout who could not muster enough self-control to hold down a job at McDonald's, and teach him to oversee dozens of employees and tens of thousands of dollars in revenue each month? What precisely did Travis learn?
Hmm.
Everyone who walked into the room where the experiment was being conducted at the Case Western
So the
Reserve
experiment
University.
just to check your willpower and your how much self-disciplined you are.
Experiment was being conducted at the Case Western Reserve University. Agreed on one thing: the cookies smelled delicious. They had just come out of the oven and were piled in a ball, oozing with chocolate chips. And the table next to the cookies was a ball of radishes. all day long hungry is to food and submitted power that would
Voice is breaking. Hold on. See what this experiment is talking about. That in a room, first the cookies smell delicious. First, in one bowl, one cookies were piled up. Okay, it just came out of oven. Chocolate chips was oozing out, right? And in one bowl, redis was kept, and in that room, a whole day hungry student was sent, right? And then what they did later, let's see.
unknowingly to a taste of their willpower that would obtain our understanding of how self-discipline works. At the time, there was a relative concept of some relation, but it wasn't
Not able to hear you. See what it is talking about. I'm not getting your voice. Selby, let it be. Understand what it is talking about. So here, experiment. You saw that what experiment has been done. In one bowl, redis is kept, and one bowl cookies are kept, just to test their willpower. And this type of experiment was not done before. One more experiment is very much famous for this thing, for checking out the willpower, which was done in 1960s. Okay, in 1960s, it was done on 4-year-old child, not child, group of students were there. 4-year-old kids were there, and this experiment was done with marshmallow. Marshmallow is a sweet dish. Okay, and here marshmallow was kept in front of all the kids. What they had to do, that they were instructed that you don't have to touch even. आपको मार्शमैलो टच भी नहीं करना है, कब तक, जब तक जो एडल्ट पर्सन है वह वापस ना आ जाए. ठीक है, एडल्ट पर्सन ने इंस्ट्रक्ट किया, उसके सामने कटोरे के सामने मार्शमैलो रख दिया गया, जब तक मैं वापस ना आऊं आपको इसको टच नहीं करना है, आपको इसको खाना नहीं है. अगर आप नहीं खाते हैं तो यू विल गेट वन एक्स्ट्रा मार्शमैलो, एंड इफ यू ईट देन यू लूज द बैटल. फाइन, ये इंस्ट्रक्ट करके रूम छोड़ दिया गया. फिर आगे देखा गया कब आए, अबाउट 30%, ओनली 30% मैनेज टू इग्नोर देयर अर्ज. ठीक है, यानी 30% ही बच्चे ऐसे थे जो मार्शमैलो नहीं खाए, बाकी सब ने मार्शमैलो खा लिया. बट एक्सपेरिमेंट यहाँ खत्म नहीं होता है, एक्सपेरिमेंट आगे चल रहा है कि ईयर लेटर, यानी जब वो लोग बड़े हुए, जब वो स्कूल्स वगैरह में गए, तब वहां पे चेक किया गया, और जब बड़े हुए, जब जॉब में गए, तब चेक किया गया कि क्या स्टेटस है, जो जिस बच्चे ने इग्नोर किया उसका क्या स्टेटस है, और जो बच्चे खा गए उसका क्या स्टेटस है. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे देखा गया कि जो बच्चे ने अपना अर्ज इग्नोर किया, अपने अर्ज को कंट्रोल किया, यानी उसमें सेल्फ कंट्रोलिंग कैपेसिटी थी, तो जिसमें सेल्फ कंट्रोलिंग कैपेसिटी थी वो फ्यूचर में अच्छा कर रहे थे. ठीक है, पीयर प्रेशर को हैंडल कर पा रहे थे. फाइन, कॉलेज में या स्कूल में अच्छा परफॉर्मेंस था, कोई भी प्रॉब्लम को इजीली वो कोप अप कर पाते थे. ठीक है, तो ये एक्सपेरिमेंट का मेन प्रूफ था. फाइन, फ्रॉम हियर who will read? Trisha, you read. Trisha, able to hear me? Roll 26.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, just give me a minute. Ma'am, a second. Yes, ma'am. Years later, they tracked down many of the study's participants. By now, they were in high school. The researchers asked about their grades and SAT scores, ability to maintain friendships, and their capacity to cope with important problems. They discovered that the best grade and with SAT scored 210 points higher on average than everyone else. They were more popular and did fewer drugs. If you know how to avoid the temptation of a marshmallow as a schooler, it seems you also knew how to get yourself to class on the time and finish your homework once you get older, as well as how to make your friends and resist peer pressure. It was as if the marshmallow, ignoring kids and self-regulatory skills that gave them an advantage throughout their lives. Scientists began conducting related experiments, trying to figure out how to help kids increase their self-regulatory skills. They learned that teaching them in simple tricks such as distracting themselves by drawing a picture or imagining a frame around the marshmallow. So it seemed to more like a photo and less like a real temptation, helped them to learn self-control. By the 1980s, a theory emerged that became generally accepted. Willpower is a learnable skill, something that can be taught by the same way kids learn to do math and say thank you. But finding for these inquiries was scare. The topic of willpower wasn't in vogue. Many of the Stanford scientists moved on the other areas of the research.
Fine, proceed from here. Read someone else. 50.
Ma'am, can I
Huh?
continue or skip?
No, I'm asking Srishti to read out.
Okay, ma'am.
Srishti, can you hear me? You're there or not? No? Parvinder, you read. Parvinder, able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Proceed.
However, when a group of psychology PhD candidates at Case Western, including one named Mark Moven, discovered those studies in the mid 90s, they started asking questions the previous research did not seem to answer. The Moven, this model of willpower as skill was not a satisfying explanation. A skill, after all, is something that remains constant from day to day. If you have the skill to make an omelette on Wednesday, you will still know how to make it on Friday.
Okay.
In Morven's
Here,
experiment,
what has been explained that here it has been said that willpower is a skill which you need to learn. But what has been explained by this that if it is a skill, then skill is learned thing, and if you are learned once, then it should work anytime at any place. But it is not the case. Here it has been explained or it has been compared with omelette. That if you know how to make omelette, if you are going to make on Wednesday, you will also be able to make on Friday, right? But this doesn't happen. If you have willpower in BBA first, it's not compulsory. You will have same willpower when you will be going or you will be when you will be doing jobs. Okay, it functions differently, right? So this is what been explained further and again through experiment. Proceed.
in Morven's experience, though, it felt like he forgot how to exert willpower all the time. So, some evenings he would come home from work and have no problem going for a jog. Other days he could not do anything besides lies on the couch and watch television. It was as if his brain, or at least that part of his brain responsible for making him exercise, had forgotten how to summon the willpower to push him out the door. Some days he ate healthier, other days when he was tired, he read the vending machines and stuffed himself with candy and chips. If willpower is a skill, Morven wondered, then why does not it remains constant from day to day? He suspected there was more to willpower than the earlier experiment had revealed. But how do you test that in a laboratory? Morven's solution was the lab contained one bowl of fleshy
Just
baked.
experiment again, back to that experiment which we did, but at that time just that much was only been explained, that in one bowl cookies are kept and in one bowl radish were kept. Okay, that much was just explained. Now further explanation is over here.
Morven's solution was the lab containing one bowl of freshly baked cookies and one bowl of radish. The room was essential closest with a two-way mirror, outfitted with a table, a wooden chair, and a handbell and a toaster oven. 67 undergraduates were recruited and told to skip a meal. One by one, the graduates sat in front of the two bowls. The point of this experiment is to test perception. Our researchers told each student which was untrue. The point was to force students, but only some students, to exert their willpower. To that end, half the undergraduates were instructed to eat the cookies and ignore the radish. The other half were told to eat the radish and ignore the cookies. Marvin's theory was that
Understood?
ignoring cookies is hard.
Hold on,
It
hold on.
takes willpower.
Okay. Have you understood what was being instructed? That to one group, they were told to ignore radish. And to one group, they were told to ignore cookies. Okay. One were told to ignore cookies. So that was much more tougher in comparison to the person who was being told to ignore radish. समझ आ रहा है? एक ग्रुप को बोला गया कि आप रेडिश नहीं खाइएगा, ठीक है, और एक ग्रुप को बोला गया कि आप कुकीज नहीं खाइएगा. दोनों बाउल आपके सामने है, ये आपके लिए चैलेंज है. तो ऑब्वियसली अगर आपके सामने कुकीज और रेडिश का बाउल रखा हुआ है, और अगर आपको ये बोला जाए कि चलो रेडिश नहीं खाना है, तो आपको थोड़ी भी दिक्कत परेशानी होगी इस चीज में. बात समझ पा रहे हैं? आपके सामने दो कटोरा रखा हुआ है, ठीक है, एक कटोरे में मूली है, एक कटोरी में कुकीज है, और आपसे बोला गया कि आपको मूली को इग्नोर करना है, कुकीज खा लेना है, तो आपको कहीं कोई दिक्कत परेशानी होगी?
नो मैम.
ये एक्सपेरिमेंट करें, इजीली आप ये टास्क पूरा कर सकते हैं. लेकिन जिस ग्रुप को ये बोला गया कि आपको कुकीज इग्नोर करना है और रेडिश ही खाना है, तो मेन चैलेंज तो उनके लिए है ना, राइट? तो फिर ये एक्सपेरिमेंट के बाद आगे क्या हुआ, आगे देखिए. तो अब तक यहाँ पे इतना डिस्कशन किया गया है. फाइन, proceed from here. Someone else read. Yashansi, you can read.
Remember, the researcher said, eat only the food that has been assigned to you. Then she left the room. Once the students were alone, they started munching. The cookies eaters were in heaven. The radish eaters were in agony. They were miserable, forcing themselves to ignore the warm cookies. Through the two-way mirror, the researcher watched one of the radish eater pick up a cookie, smell it longingly, and then put it back in the bowl. Another grabbed a few cookies, put them down, and then licked the melted chocolate off his finger. After 5 minutes, the researcher re-entered the room. By Mervin's estimation, the radish eater's willpower had been thoroughly taxed by eating the bitter vegetable and ignored the treats. The cookie eater had hardly used any of their self-discipline. We need to wait about 15 minutes for the sensor memory of the food you ate to fade. The researcher told each participant to pass the time. She asked that to complete a puzzle. It looked fairly simple. Trace a geometric pattern without lifting your pencil for the page or going over the same line twice. If you want to quit, the researcher said, ring the bell. She implied the puzzle wouldn't take long. In truth, the puzzle was impossible to solve.
Have you understood the next step? Understood the next step?
यस मैम, उसमें एक पजल कंप्लीट करना था जिसको ड्रॉ करना था और एक लाइन को दोबारा मतलब उस पे ड्रॉ नहीं करना था।
मेन है यहाँ पे वही चीज विल पावर को ही चेक करने के लिए बताया गया है फर्दर कि जिस ग्रुप को दोनों को वही सेम टास्क परफॉर्म करना था। एक ग्रुप जो कुकीज इग्नोर किया, एक ग्रुप जिसको जो रेडिस इग्नोर किया। ठीक है, अब किसका परफॉर्मेंस ज्यादा बेटर होता है? Intro, the puzzle was impossible to solve. एक्चुअल में पजल सॉल्व करना पॉसिबल नहीं था। तो आगे उन लोगों का रिस्पांस कैसा था? इफ इट इज अ स्किल देन व्हाट वाज द रिस्पांस ऑफ दोस ग्रुप? यहाँ से रोल 37, रोल 37 proceed. Are you reading? Are you reading row 37? Because not able to hear you. Akashan, not able to hear you. Mute yourself.
उसका ईयरफोन से आवाज नहीं आ रहा शायद।
Leave it. Nishu, you can read. I think in this batch only girls are more participative. I can see all the cameras switched off.
This puzzle want a way to pass time. It was the most important part of the experiment. It took enormous willpower to keep working on the puzzle, particularly when its attempt failed. The scientist wondered would the students who had already expended their willpower by ignoring the cookies give up on the puzzle faster. In other words, was willpower a finite resources? From behind their two-way mirror, the researchers watched the cookie eaters with their unused
There was
rewards of self-discipline. Started working on the puzzle in general. They looked relaxed on of them tired a straightforward approach hit a roadblock and then started again and again and again. Some worked for over half an hour before the researchers told them to stop. On average, the cookie eaters spent almost 19 minutes apiece trying to solve the puzzle before they arranged the bell. The radish eaters, with their depleted willpower, acted completely different. They muted the muttered
as they work. Muttered means बड़बड़ाना। तो यहाँ पे दिखाया गया कि जो आपके cookies, the people who were cookies eater, they hardly faced any problem in solving that puzzle. They worked almost for 19 minutes. Fine. But radish eater, they started muttering. When you are very much frustrated, then you started murmuring in your own. Okay, you get frustrated very easily. So same thing happened to this group also. They got frustrated. And one complained that whole experiment was a waste of time. Right? And some of them just put their head on the table and closed their eye. And one snapped means what? They shouted on the researcher when she came back in. Then on an average, radish eater, in comparison to that cookies eater, they just performed only 8 minutes. Okay, radish eater just performed or worked only for 8 minutes, and the cookies eater performed for 19 minutes. So 60% less time than the cookies eater before quitting. Right, and they also said that they are sick of that dumb experiment. Okay, they call this experiment as a dumb. That's not good for nothing. Right. So what is been proved from this experiment? Anyone can answer? What has been proved from this experiment? Anyone can answer? दोबारा बताऊं क्या? हिंदी में सुन लीजिए दोबारा एक बार. यहाँ पे क्या बताया गया कि एक तो जिसको कुकीज इग्नोर करने के लिए बोला गया था, तो वो पजल में कैसा सॉल्व किया, कैसा परफॉर्म किया. तो कुकीज अगर इग्नोर किया यानी रेडिस खाया, तो रेडिस खाने वाले का ऑलमोस्ट सारा पेशेंस वो लूज कर चुका था. ठीक है, ऑलमोस्ट उसका समझिए वो थक चुका था इग्नोर कर वो रेडिस खाते खाते. और उसके बाद फिर ये ऊपर से पजल, तो ऑलमोस्ट वो फ्रस्ट्रेट हो गया है. और मात्र 8 मिनट वो काम वो कर पाया, बाकी वो कंप्लेन करता रहा, चिल्लाता रहा, अपने आप में बड़बड़ाता रहा. ठीक है. और जो कुकीज खाया था उसका तो विल पावर कहीं तो थका ही नहीं. वो कुकीज खाना तो अच्छी बात है भाई, वो तो एंजॉय करके डिलीशियस डिश एंजॉय किया, राइट. और वो कितना देर वर्क किया? वो 19 मिनट, ऑब्वियसली मोर देन रेडिस ईटर. 19 मिनट काम किया और उसको कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं था, इजिली काम किया, राइट. तो ये एक्सपेरिमेंट से क्या पता चलता है कि विल पावर क्या है? आपका मसल से, जो एक लिमिट तक ही मतलब समझिए पेशेंस रख पाता है. ठीक है, एक टाइम के बाद वो थकता है. तो यहाँ इट इज बीन प्रूव दैट विल पावर इज नॉट जस्ट अ स्किल, इट इज अ मसल्स. ठीक है, जैसे आपका हाथ आपका पैर ज्यादा काम करते करते थकता है, सेम वे विल पावर आल्सो गेट टायर्ड. अंडरस्टूड? अंडरस्टूड?
Yes, ma'am.
So we are almost out of time, but yes, this page you complete and then you will be reading further in next class. Reading for the next class means what? In next class you have to present. So from here you have to read out how much is left in this chapter. Then you can present, make a small pointers PPT, so that you will be able to remember that what pointers we have to discuss on. Yes, Amrita.
मैम पीपीटी एक बार वापस एक्सप्लेन कर दीजिए, कैसे मतलब क्या बना के लाना है.
आपका चैप्टर है, ठीक है, चैप्टर 5 में पेज नंबर 157 तक तो हम लोगों ने कर लिया. अब 158 से हम लोगों को क्या करना है? आप लोग रीड आउट करेंगे. यहाँ जैसे रीडिंग देते हैं ना, आप लोग पहले से रीड आउट कर लेंगे और पॉइंटर्स बना के पीपीटी तैयार करेंगे. ठीक है. और नेक्स्ट क्लास में आप लोग जैसे प्रेजेंटेशन देते हैं, कि जैसे अभी मैं एक्सप्लेन कर रही हूँ ना, यहाँ तो मैं एक्सप्लेन कर रही हूँ ना कि ये कितना एक्सपेरिमेंट हुआ, इस एक्सपेरिमेंट का क्या मेन मोटिव था, राइट. इसके थ्रू हम क्या प्रूव करना चाह रहे हैं, रिसर्चर क्या प्रूव करना चाह रहे हैं, वो आप लोगों को एक्सप्लेन करना है. समझ आया? यानी पहले से आप रीड आउट करके रखेंगे, पीपीटी बनाएंगे और नेक्स्ट क्लास में आप उसको प्रेजेंट करेंगे कि आपने क्या पढ़ा उसमें. ठीक है. और जिसका सबसे अच्छा होगा उस ग्रुप को रिवॉर्ड दिया जाएगा, और वो रिवॉर्ड कुछ भी हो सकता है. ठीक है. लेट इट बी सरप्राइज ओनली. हाँ मैम बताइए.
मैम मैक्सिमम मेंबर कितने होने चाहिए ग्रुप के?
अब तो यहाँ 5 टॉपिक हुआ तो 5 ग्रुप होगा. और कितने मेंबर? 4 या 5 सफिशिएंट है.
मैम ऑनलाइन में कैसे एक्सप्लेन करेंगे, मतलब जितने भी ग्रुप मेंबर्स होंगे तो?
क्यों, प्रॉब्लम क्या है? जैसे आपको कंफ्यूजन क्या हो रहा है? बाकी बच्चे जो प्रेजेंट करते हैं, स्क्रीन शेयर करने का मैं परमिशन दूंगी आपको, आप स्क्रीन शेयर करेंगे, राइट, और एक्सप्लेन करेंगे. अभी जैसे रीड आउट करते हैं वैसे आप एक्सप्लेन करेंगे.
ओके मैम.
ठीक है. बाकी बहुत सारे क्लासेस है जो ऑनलाइन कर रहे हैं, प्रेजेंटेशन दे रहे हैं. जैसे फर्स्ट सेमेस्टर का, जहाँ जहाँ सब्जेक्ट का जहाँ सिलेबस कंप्लीट हो गया कोर्स सब्जेक्ट का, वहाँ पे बच्चे ऐसे ही परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं. ठीक है. स्क्रीन शेयर करने का परमिशन यहाँ मिलेगा. आप अपने लैपटॉप से या अपने मोबाइल से शेयर करेंगे और प्रेजेंट करेंगे. ठीक है. तो ग्रुप का नाम आप आज तक दे दीजिए और सारा परफॉर्मेंस डायरेक्टर सर भी देखेंगे. ठीक है. और ऑब्वियसली उनका तो अप्रेजल मिलेगा ही मिलेगा. अंडरस्टूड? आज शाम तक मेरे को नाम दे दीजिए. एंड अमृता, इट्स योर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. सब लोग अमृता के पास भेजिए. फाइन. और शाम तक मेरे पास आ जाना चाहिए. ठीक है.
यस मैम.
चलिए. Till then, okay, I have to take attendance also. अभी नेक्स्ट जो होगा 157 के बाद, ये ग्रुप मैं बना देती हूँ। एक जो सबसे ज्यादा सुपर एक्टिव बच्चे लोग हैं, जैसे रोहित पार्टिसिपेट करता है, उधर आपका अमृता है, परविंदर है, ठीक है, और 3 जन हो गए, और आदित्य ले लीजिए, ठीक है। ये 157 के बाद जो है वो नेक्स्ट क्लास में प्रेजेंट करेंगे। फाइन। रोहित सिंह रोल 55, आदित्य सिंह आपका पता नहीं आपका काम करेगा कि नहीं, ऑडियो आपका हेडफोन वगैरह ठीक ठाक कर लीजिएगा, ठीक है। 101, और इधर लिख लीजिए अमृता, देखो, और अमृता का जो रोल नंबर है वो खुद लिख लीजिए, और परविंदर, ये 4 जन। फाइन। और फिर नेक्स्ट ग्रुप में 157 के बाद आप कंप्लीट करिए, और नेक्स्ट ग्रुप आप शाम तक भेज दीजिए। Today is 11th.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, roll 1, 2,
2 present, ma'am.
3, 4, 5,
Present, ma'am. 5.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18.
Present, ma'am. 17.
Okay, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23,
20,
24.
25, ma'am.
Okay, 26,
Present, ma'am.
27, 28,
Yes, ma'am. 28.
29,
Yes, ma'am.
30, 31, 32.
Yes, ma'am.
So your roll number also 30.
Ma'am, 30, ma'am.
Okay, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37,
36 present, ma'am.
37, okay, 38, 39, 40,
Ma'am, present 40.
41, 42, 43,
Ma'am, 38.
38, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55,
55.
56, 57, 58,
Present, ma'am. 56.
57, 58,
Me.
59, 60.
Me.
Amrita. Unmute first, sorry, mute first. 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69.
Ma'am, 69.
Okay, 70, 71, 72, 73.
Ma'am, 72.
All right.
72.
Done. 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90. 91, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 90, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100. 100.
101, ma'am.
Okay, 102, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109,
Yes, ma'am. 108.
109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115. Okay. All right, thank you. See you next class. And good luck for your presentation also.